With week number 1 of the NFL now in the books, we can officially say the 2022 football season is underway. We previously only offered 30-day NFL packages and 30-day college football packages, but because you asked, we have now added a 30-day NFL and college football combo. If you regularly buy the same handicapper week by week, not only will you save money, but more importantly, you will receive the selections immediately once they are released, allowing you to lock in the best available line and beat the line moves. While a 30-day NFL or college football package sells for $149 each, we want to make a splash for the first week of this combo package. Through Sunday, September 18th, get the NFL and college football combo for only $199. Yes, that's 30 days of NFL and 30 days of college football for under $100 per sport. This special is available at both WagerTalk and Sports Memo, allowing you to bet football right alongside your favorite handicapper for the next 30 days for only $6.63 per day. How many handicapping groups can say they were around before Twitter, MySpace, AOL, Sunday morning cable infomercials, beepers, and 1-800 numbers? In the 65th year of operation, the Gold Sheet team is better than ever. Including the NFL preseason, Gold Sheet's LTS selections are 21-6 to start the 2022 football season, including an 11-1 mark this past weekend. If you're ready to play side by side with the country's longest running sports betting newsletter, act now to take $200 off the Gold Sheets NFL and college football combo. No coupon is needed to redeem this offer. Just go to the Gold Sheets homepage at WagerTalk or Sports Memo and lock in one of the most respected handicapping groups of all time for one of the lowest prices ever offered. Get every top-rated college football play between now and the
Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to Inside the Distance. I am Andy Lang, joined by Kyle Anthony and Matt Kowalis. We're going to be breaking down UFC Fight Night, Cory Sandhagen and Song Yadong. Interesting card. A lot of fighters that the casual fans may not know. We're here to break it down for you and show you what you should be betting on and some bets to avoid. Gentlemen, hopefully when we break down fights, the UFC doesn't just rearrange them. That would be really nice. That would be really nice. Kudos to them though. They got put in a bad spot and they handled it. So real quick, guys, before we get into breaking down everything, we have a really awesome promo code, good for all of us, good for Kyle Anthony, good for Matt Kowalis. Just use the promo code FIGHT100. That's FIGHT100. Gets $100 off of a year of MMA plays. Really smoking deal. Encourage you to go get that. You can find Matt Kowalis at sportsmemo.com. Kyle over at WagerTalk.com. We're also running a special for me. It's one of the stranger ones. I am in quarantine. I'm 3-0 in my quarantine days. I've been doing nothing but research, so I get a quarantine for 5 more days. So we're going to give you 5 days of all my plays for only $49. Includes all sports. I'm stuck here in the office, but it's going to be lonely yet profitable. So there's no promo code needed. That's just on my page.
Good place to be, Andy. It's a good place to be.
Oh, all right, gentlemen. Before we can predict the future, we got to learn a little bit from the past. So let's take a little trip to the classroom. This is where we each break down one thing that we learned from the previous event. Matt, I'm coming to you first. Talk to us about what you learned from the last event.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Andy, and great to be on episode 2 of Inside the Distance. But in last week's card, what I learned was about Khamzat Chimaev, and it's with specific outcomes, because when you're betting Khamzat, it's very tough to find favorable odds majority of the time. You know, when he was originally fighting Nate Diaz, I was thinking this was going to stay on the feet the entire time. I think he was just going to stand in bangs, kind of similar to Gilbert Burns, maybe press the cage a little bit. But once it turned over to Holland, Holland's glaring weakness is his wrestling. So with Khamzat, I went back and I looked back at that Li Jingliang fight, if I even said that correct. But same thing, dangerous striker on the feet. And what did Khamzat do? Immediately, he got that to the ground, he got a submission, and he got out of there. He didn't put himself in any danger whatsoever. And I kind of thought the same thing would happen for Holland. So I went down the route. I did submission first, second, or third round to Holland. And you got that at plus 275 odds. And with someone who has a weakness as great as Holland with the wrestling and someone who's as strong as Khamzat, And I know they were potentially touching hands, and Khamzat shot in and got him down, and the rest was history. But going forward, it does seem like Chimaev is going to focus on his opponent's weakness. And if they have solid wrestling, he's going to stay on his feet. He's going to stand and bang. So then a double chance like points or KO, TKO is going to be favorable. And then if it's someone who's better on the feet, then kind of opposite, maybe go with the submission or points. So going forward with Khamzat, whether he's in the 170 or 185 division, I think his specific outcomes or double chance, whether that be the points and TK or points and submission, I think that will be favorable going forward.
Yeah, great stuff. Yeah, the touching of the gloves, that may be, prolonged it for like 3 seconds. I don't think that was why. don't really think that was why it happened. Yeah, great stuff. You can find excellent odds if you can really narrow it down. Matt, real quick, talk to us about the double chance. I feel like this is a bet that not a lot of people realize. I really just discovered how valuable it can be early this year. So walk us through the double chance.
Yeah, and if I'm being honest, this is one of my favorite bets across sportsbook, because when looking at fighters, majority of the fighters have 2 routes. A lot of them are strong on their feet with the points, not generally submitting people. Someone like Khamzat is a little bit different because he's good all over. But what the double chance is say the money line is minus 250 itself. You could take a fighter and do by decision plus KO, TKO, and you might get that down from, say, maybe minus 210 or whatever it may be to minus 130 or minus 140, 150, somewhere around there. And it's still pretty favorable because a lot of these fighters, like I said, they only have 2 routes to victory more often than not. Someone like Khamzat doesn't come along very often. But, again, it gives you better odds. And when you take a look at the opponent, and you take a look at their track record, maybe their strengths and weaknesses, you can more often develop that path to victory, and that double chance really will give you some better odds and, parlays, whatever you like to do with it.
Great stuff from Matt Kowalis at sportsmemo.com. Shout out to Teasing the NFL in the chat room. Thanks for joining us. And I got to give a special shout out to Jim and Max, who joined us last week, our very first 2 people that joined us in the chat. So thanks, guys, for joining us. Kyle, coming to you, talk to us. What did you learn about UFC, and what can help us moving forward in some of these bets?
Well, the first thing I learned is I have terrible internet. That was the first thing I learned last week. I don't know who to blame. I don't know if I'm blaming Verizon. I don't know if I'm changing carriers. I got to get a new, computer, modem. But I learned I got to change something. Besides for that, I did learn that I need to keep betting Johnny Walker unders. I think this is a great spot, and the market really hasn't changed or really done anything to correct itself. In this spot here, you had Kutilaba, who's a wild man who comes in that first round and just goes crazy. And then you've got the other side, you've got an explosive fighter in Johnny Walker who has a glass chin, and then both of them are sprinkled with bad cardio. There was a lot of things going on there, plus the fact that this was an even money, it started to tick up, but we ended up getting it for clients around minus 110. I think it was getting up to minus 140 or whatever it was by fight night. But the thing about it is that betting with Walker, he's explosive in himself. A lot of it is you're trying to fade him because you know that the guy doesn't have a chin. The guy can't really, He's willing to go out there and just battle and brawl. And if you can go in there and he's fighting another guy with flaws as well, which Kutilaba has. I was more on the side of this is just going to be destruction early, but there were some people out there that were taking Walker plus money. That was a really good bet. So I think that's something to absolutely look at. And listen, Walker can get brutally knocked out by a jab. So there's not much else that, if you really look at what this guy could do, over his career, since 2018, he's been in the UFC. He's had 9 fights. He's 5-4 over that span. Only 2 of those fights made it out of the first round. So he's either getting knocked out or getting finished or not getting finished. Yet the market isn't correcting itself when you're looking at the number. And the 2 people that he actually went further than the first round was Thiago Santos, who wanted no part of any getting hit at all. Either did Walker. Walker wanted no part either. And the other one was Nikita Krylov, who they just wrestled for 3 rounds, and that saved the chin of Walker. So I think it's a great spot. I think it's something to look at moving forward. And again, the market, I was really surprised that this number was even opening at that number. So I jumped on it early, but it's definitely a spot to look at moving forward.
Yeah, it's been a cash cow, and whenever the market doesn't adjust, taking advantage is really profitable. I learned once again, female boxers that are coming into the UFC or MMA, it's just not translating to success, but it's giving us some really good betting opportunities. Two of them just recently. We had the Clarissa Shields debacle over in PFL. PFL goes all in on her. She barely wins her first fight, and then she loses her second fight to a complete can. And it was such a great bet. It was a great live bet. You could tell she had no idea what she was doing. And then PFL has to run all those commercials that they paid for with Clarissa Shields.
Oh, man.
No, it was brutal. It was brutal. So now I don't think she's even in MMA. I think she went back to boxing. And then we see it on display again. Danielle Wolf. Norma Dumont was a big favorite, but it was an easy parlay piece. I thought Danielle Wolf lost her fight on Contender Series, but they wanted her in there so bad they managed to somehow give her the decision. And then what happens? Norma Dumont, almost 7 minutes of control time against Wolf. Wolf was never really in it. I even thought Dumont won the striking on the feet. And credit to the UFC commentators. They did a really good job of talking about how the stance in boxing is just different in MMA. And these boxers just leave themselves open for clinch and takedowns because they're used to standing straight up. It was a pretty easy cash. So I'm going to be looking forward to when these female boxers with a heavy boxing background, but no MMA or wrestling or clinching experience come in. It's too big of a battle. They're just not prepared for it. So, all right, gentlemen, we're going to fights that interest me. Matt, I'm going to come to you first. These are fights that we're excited to watch. Maybe there's a good betting opportunity, good stylistic matchup, good storyline. Matt Kowalis from sportsmemo.com. Give us the fight that you are really interested in watching this Saturday.
Yeah, so I'm excited for the co-main event, Chidi Njokuani versus Gregory Rodrigues. I think this is a very fun stylistic matchup. It's a good betting opportunity as well. It's about even money right now, and I believe Chidi was plus money to start. So it looks like some money's been going on Chidi, and I do understand why. Chidi has won 4 fights in a row. He has a 5-inch reach advantage and a 2-inch leg advantage. And stylistically, I believe Rodrigues is going to try and take him to the ground at some point throughout the fight. And for me, when looking at these two, it comes down to, can Rodrigues get in? And with the reach that Chidi has, with the punches, kicks, he's a very dominant striker on top of that. I'm wondering if this fight will go the distance. I like it inside the distance because of that reach mismatch. I do think Rodrigues is going to try and come in. And personally, I'm interested to see who's going to land that first big blow in this fight. This is a fight that I do have up on Sports Memo. I have a pick on this fight as well. So again, I do think there's some very good betting opportunities within this fight. So this is one I'm definitely excited to watch in the UFC Fight Night.
Kyle, coming to you, you threw me for a loop. I would have never guessed that the fight you picked is one for you to watch. I'm excited to hear why. Talk to us about the fight that you're interested in seeing this Saturday.
Yeah, the one I'm looking at here is Aspen Ladd versus Sarah McMahon. And I think really the first part of this fight that makes it so interesting, one, it's you got a grappler versus grappler. I think it's going to be very intriguing to kind of see how that pans out. But Aspen Ladd came into the UFC with massive hype. They were talking this undefeated fighter, touted as this high-level grappler. People were really kind of looking at this as like, hey, could she really kind of help build the division? Now she's 1-3 out of her last 4. Her only win came from Yana Kunitskaya back in 2019. So she has not really been the one that we've all kind of thought that she could be. And the biggest part of this that I think we've all seen it is she just looks unmotivated. Like there's been spots in fights where the coaches are like, can you fight? Like, can you throw a punch? Can you look like you care? Like, I mean, and there's been audio even with that they're like, go, like, do more. And she's already a very stoic kind of person. So it's not like she's missed personality, but she's definitely the one that's kind of like, get in there, get going. And then you look at the underdog here. You got Sarah McMahon. She's plus 120, roughly around there. And she's 41 years old, so that's already going to start to have people like, whoa, wait, what's going on here? But McMahon has looked good. She's coming off a big win, and she looked good in there. She also, people forget that she looked good against Juliana Pena. I mean, she won the first 2 rounds, took her down, took her back. And if it wasn't for her gas tank, she possibly could have won the fight. She ended up getting choked out at the end of that fight. So that's obviously, she did lose there, but she looked good for somebody who should probably be getting steamrolled. She looked good. Also, the fact that, yes, Ladd has a 47% success rate in takedowns, but her wrestling is extremely iffy. I mean, she tries to pull guard. She tries to do whatever she can to try to get on top or just get it to the ground, where I really give the grappling strength and all of that. I give that to McMahon. I mean, she's going to have the strength in the clinch. She's going to be much stronger. I think she's a better striker on the feet. Not by much. I mean, neither of them are high-level strikers. But if it's a grappler versus grappler matchup, I think that McMahon can get her down and just kind of ride out a decision. Plus, we've even seen Ladd have terrible weight cuts. I mean, she's looked horrible at the weight. So I have not placed this wager yet. It's one that I'm really looking at. I kind of want to see what goes on. And, I mean, listen, I didn't want to bring up last week, but I kind of want to look what's going on in the weigh-ins. I kind of want to see what's going to happen there, how she looks, and we're going to see what happens there. But the plus 120 is a good number, and if you're looking at a decision, it's plus 175. But I already like the McMahon plus 120. Kind of makes sense, but I think it's going to be interesting, grappler versus grappler. I think there's a lot going to go on here.
So strange. I can't remember a female fighter so in the corner just looking so uninterested and just coaches just like, what are you doing? Come on, we're in a fight.
And was the one that she won, wasn't it, where he was yelling at her and then she came out and ended up getting the win? I think that was one where even they yelled too, like, do something, and she finally did, and then she got the win. So, and then she does that again. It's crazy how it is, but that's someone that looks a plus, that you're getting plus money against her.
Originally, my fight, I was going to talk about Gravely and Basharat. We had one Basharat already win, but then I found out that Kyle and I are on different sides of the Bill Algeo and Andre Fili fight. So I want to break this one down. I love getting the even or plus money on Bill Algeo here. It's kind of a fade on Andre Fili. He got crushed by Brito in the first round last fight. The fight before was against Pineda. It was ruled a no contest, but make no mistake, Fili was winning that fight. Lost to Mitchell. Mitchell just grappled and wrestled with him. And I think that's where Bill Algeo has the advantage here. Fili's going to stand and use his kicks. You're going to see a lot of head kicks. You're going to see a lot of body kicks. But when Fili does that, he leaves himself wide open. He leaves his head wide open. He definitely leaves his lead leg wide open. And I think Algeo's got the range to stick jabs and work on that leg. And when it comes to the grappling and clinch, Bill Algeo is kind of strange with it because he seems to have really good cardio for wrestling and grappling, but not as much on the feet. I think after the first round, Algeo, it should be Algeo's all day. I think he can work the body, push up against the fence. I think he can get takedowns. And I just don't trust Fili. His last win was in 2020 against Charles Jourdain. That was a split decision. We've seen him lose to Youssef, Bryce Mitchell, and Brito. And, Algeo beat Brito, and Fili lost to Brito. So I'm expecting Fili to come out pretty quick in the first round. But if he doesn't get a quick knockout, which Algeo's not a guy that you can knock out, I expect Algeo to grind out a win here. So, Kyle, coming to you, you were thinking about going in on Fili. So talk to me about what you like about Andre Fili in this one.
Yeah, it's one I was so on the fence that I just haven't done anything with it. It's one of those ones I'm like, if I'm looking at it and I can't really pick a side, but the volume of Algeo is going to be there, the pressure, the forward, a lot of that stuff's going to work. I think that there will be a chance that Fili's not going to be doing the stand-up. He is in the smaller cage. I think he's going to look to just wrestle and be positional and wrestle and keep it that way. I like his boxing. I do like his boxing, and I think he's got some good striking. Algeo is just he's a demon. He just keeps going. So I think to slow down that pace, I think he just kind of wrestles him and looks to lay on him a little bit more and an unsexy kind of fight. But it was one that I am staying away from. But good luck with the Bill Algeo play.
Appreciate it. That should be fun to keep an eye on. So, all right, gentlemen, we need to talk about the main event. Of course, we got Cory Sandhagen and Song Yadong. I'm really excited about this one. I love the stylistic matchup here. It was fun doing the film research here. So, Matt, coming to you first. What do you expect from Sandhagen and Song in this one?
Yeah, Andy, I'm with you on this fight. I think this is a really exciting matchup, and it's good for both fighters. For one, Sandhagen has lost 3 in a row now to incredibly tough competition in Aljamain Sterling, TJ Dillashaw, and Petr Yan. And I would think the UFC wants to get him a win. But now he's going against Song Yadong, who's coming off a knockout to Marlon Moraes, who's definitely at the back end of his career. But the fights that Song Yadong has lost have been primarily wrestling, or the draw with Cody Stamann, I should say. And, Kyler Phillips beat him, and Kyler Phillips is more of a striker, but he had a wrestling style. It was just a wrestling style matchup, okay? He focused on the takedowns, things like that. And that's not what Cory Sandhagen is going to do. I believe this matchup is going to stay in the center of the octagon. These guys are going to bang it out the entire time. And I do think Cory Sandhagen is the more prolific striker, but Song Yadong has a lot of power. And if he catches you, I don't think this one is a lock whatsoever. I feel like many people are thinking the UFC is trying to get Cory Sandhagen a win here. And I'm more so kind of laying on the fence here. And I'm excited to talk about the Parlay Buster next.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear you break that down. Matt's saving his official play on this one for the Parlay Buster. Kyle, coming to you, what do you expect in this main event?
Well, the first thing is the fact that this guy is 24 years old. I know we've all kind of talked about it. It is just astounding. I didn't want to tell you what I was doing at 24 years old. The fact that this guy is at an elite level, he is at the peak, and he's 24. He's got over, 23 fights or whatever it is. It's pretty ridiculous. But he is his ceiling is absurdly high. Where he can be over the next decade, what he's going to be doing is pretty crazy. But I think the one part here that I think tilts me more towards Sandhagen is really going to be that footwork and that movement that he does have. Now, again, we're in the smaller cage, so it does force a little bit more action than normal, but I just think that movement and that footwork and the way that Song likes to really dig in, fire the big shots, throw everything with big power, a lot of that can really get, of course he can knock him out. There is no doubt that Song could land one, and it's a game-changing shot where Cory doesn't really have that kind of power. But one of the things that I think that really do kind of push this a little bit is the fact that, like Matt was just saying, the fight with Kyler Phillips, I really kind of put the style of Phillips slightly to the style of Cory Sandhagen, where they both have movement, they both have a lot of kicks, they're both very free-flowing kind of fighters, and I think the takedowns, if it's not something that Cory Sandhagen is going to be doing, but I think he's going to look to throw it in just to kind of throw him off a little bit. I think that's going to be helping him. 3-inch reach advantage for Sandhagen also is going to help. Also, he's going to have a longer leg, the measurables. The leg reach is going to help him there too, kind of slapping at the front leg. I think that really helps also as well. And the fact that he has fought both TJ Dillashaw and Petr Yan to a 5-round really close fights is really impressive for who he's lost to. And just that one of those wins puts him all of a sudden, he's in the title picture. So he is at the cusp of being there. But the last part that I really want to make a point of is that why I think this gets legs, it gets deeper into the fight, is that Song has only been knocked out one time in his career. And that was back out of his 7 losses. That was back in 2016. So he is a guy that's going to be durable, which is going to absolutely help him try to get further. But I think this pushes into the later rounds. I actually like Sandhagen by decision, plus 125. I think that's a good spot here because I think Sandhagen's got to have distance. And I think that also pushes this a little bit further. But like you're saying, it's one that I'm definitely not putting in parlays. I'm not doing any of that stuff. But it's definitely going to be an interesting fight.
Yeah, Kyle, you mentioned his age, that he's 24, and you were saying I don't even know what I was doing at 24. Yeah. His first UFC fight was 5 years ago. The guy's
crazy.
This has just been his life.
Even when we're talking about 2016 was his loss. What was he, 18? That's it's crazy. Crazy.
You guys pretty much covered everything. One thing I did like about Yadong is, we talked about the age of 24, and it is funny. You can see him growing and maturing. You can see him getting more toned, and you can see his punches getting stronger, probably because he's just maturing and growing into his man body. So I think he's going to be at his strongest that we've ever seen him at in this fight with Sandhagen. I love Cory Sandhagen, so I find it hard to handicap some of his matches just because I love his fluidity. I love his movement. I love that if you saw him in a bar, you would never guess in a million years that this guy was a professional fighter. I always love guys like that. I think Sandhagen's huge advantage is in his kicks, and he just has so many more unique strikes. You'll see a flying knee. You'll see something spinning where, Song just likes to stand there and throw punches as hard as he possibly can. If I had to bet on this one, which I will not have a play, I may just sprinkle Song for a knockout because Sandhagen can take a punch, but he did get sparked a couple times against Jan, and I think Song early in the fight can really, really do some damage when he's at 100%. But later on as it goes, I definitely lean Sandhagen, but for a bet, I would definitely look at Song by TKO. All right, gentlemen. Well, before we get to that real quick, guys, just want to remind you, we got a promo code FIGHT100, FIGHT100. Gets $100 off a year's worth of MMA plays. That is good for all of us. You can check out Matt Kowalis at sportsmemo.com. Kyle Anthony at WagerTalk.com. I am at WagerTalk.com as well. Guys, this is a really, really good deal. If you want to invest in UFC, which you should, it's a very profitable sport to bet in. This is a great deal. It lowers the price of all of the events you get, and it includes all 5% plays, 4% plays, everything. So go check that out at sportsmemo.com and WagerTalk.com. All right, guys, we're going to take a look at a Parlay Buster. We're going to take a look at a fight to go the distance or not go the distance. We're going to look at a money line that is minus 200 or less. Kyle, get us started. What is the fight that you looked at where you found a fighter that is minus 200 or less, and why do you think they're going to win?
I like Jillian Robertson. It's minus 160, roughly around there right now. And this is one of those fights here where, first of all, it's grappler versus striker, which is always going to be intriguing to begin with. A classic striker versus grappler matchup here. They have they trained at the same gym. They've sparred together. So there's definitely a little bit of that going in there. But I think this is a spot really where Jillian can really dictate the pace. I think her going in there and really getting her hands on Agapova, getting her up against the fence. One of the really strong things that Jillian does is she's able to kind of get her opponent up against the fence and chain wrestle and just not give up on that spot. Even if she, doesn't get the takedown, she's pretty good with kind of just keeping that position a little bit and looking to even just win the round. That's the kind of thing too. So I like what she can do there. Yes, Agapova's going to have some big power. She definitely has some power in her hand. She's going to look to move forward. But I think the aggressive style that she has actually kind of plays into Jillian a little bit, forcing the walk down. I think Jillian could look for the takedowns. Jillian does not have good striking. There's no hiding that. There's definitely not good striking. So she's going to be just a one-trick pony here, looking for the takedowns. I think that she's going to be able to, over the 3 rounds, look like minus 250. I think she can really just dictate the pace, smother the pressure. And one of the big things also that Agapova does when she gets up is she's got a tendency to give up her back when she's getting up. That is really a comfort zone for Jillian Robertson here. So I like Robertson here. I think she can go out there, control over 3 rounds, or do submission hunting the way that she goes out there and aggressively submission hunt. So I think it's a good spot. I like Robinson here.
There you go. There's a fighter that is minus 200 or less. Matt, I'm coming to you. All right. We are 1-0 in the Parlay Buster.
I love that.
This is a segment where old Jake
that was
Collier.
Unreal.
Never lay minus 400 on Jake Collier.
That was a hell of a call, though.
Ever. I don't care who's in there. I don't care who's in there. It could be Bruce Buffer in there against them. It doesn't matter.
All right, so this is a play that we're just saying be really careful on. That the odds are a little bit too big, and we would be very worried if you put this in your parlay. It might be best to stay away. So, Matt, give us what your Parlay Buster is this week.
Yeah, so this week I'm going right back to Song Yadong and Cory Sandhagen, and I'm going with Cory Sandhagen at minus 220. When I first looked at this, I did think it was a little high, again, Song Yadong being a dangerous striker. And for me, this is someone just like Andy. Cory Sandhagen is one of my favorite fighters throughout the entire UFC. So I'm just saying caution to the wind right now, just for the pure fact that Song Yadong is such a dangerous fighter. You know, he has beaten people like Marlon Moraes, again, towards the tail end of his career. But a couple years ago, he did beat Chito Vera, who's a dangerous striker. He has kicks similar to Cory Sandhagen. And I do believe that is the biggest advantage for Cory Sandhagen, is the kicks, is the footwork, to Kyle's point. But one thing that I'm kind of thinking maybe opposite of Kyle is in the past, Song Yadong has gone for some takedowns. So I'm actually thinking that Song is going to go for some takedowns in this fight to try and maybe slow it down, keep Cory Sandhagen striking at bay, push him to the cage because he is the bigger body in comparison to Cory Sandhagen. I also believe this will go to the distance. And one of my last points being, the UFC does not want Song Yadong getting embarrassed by anyone. They're going to try and put him in fights where it's going to be good. It's going to just be a banger, go to the end, because they want that Chinese market. Okay, you have to kind of think of that stuff when gauging opponents, who they're facing, where are they from, because this is a worldwide sport, and they want eyes from all over. They would not have put Song Yadong in this fight if they didn't believe he had a chance. So that's why I'm kind of sending caution to the wind here with Cory Sandhagen at minus 220.
Love it. And Matt, that point is so good. I mean, Dana is just open about it. We need this market. We need this market. So we need he's just, hey, say what you want about Dana. The man will not hide much from you. He'll just tell you what's on his mind. So it's a really good point. So be careful about putting Cory Sandhagen in your parlays. All right. It is my task to find a fight that will either go the distance or not go the distance. And I am going to pick a fight that will go the distance at plus 120. I like Anthony Hernandez and Marc-Andre Barriault to go the distance. Hernandez is going to want to grapple, and I think Barriault has good enough defense to slow him down and stop him. I think this fight screams to go the distance. Barriault's last two fights have not gone the distance, but one was against Jordan Wright. Jordan Wright has had 15 pro fights. Not one has seen the third round. And then before that, he got finished by Chidi. I mean, there's no shame in that. And then you look at Hernandez's first four fights in the UFC. They all finished early, but again, really understandable. He subbed Rodolfo Vieira when, if there was a picture of gassing yourself in the UFC, it's Rodolfo in that fight. It was the most incredible gassing I've ever seen. Then he got knocked out by Kevin Holland. But his last fight against Josh Fremd, he grappled him all fight. It really wasn't close to being a knockout. There was a couple submission attempts, but nothing really, really got in. I think both these guys are pretty equal. Hernandez is going to clinch and wrestle. Barriault is going to defend. I just don't think they're going to get any clean opportunities to KO either of them. And I think the wrestling and grappling takes over for all three rounds. I think this fight goes the distance, and at plus money, I am absolutely going to take that one. So let's do a quick recap. Kyle likes Jillian Robertson as our fighter at minus 200 or less that you can take advantage of. A Parlay Buster, be careful about putting Cory Sandhagen at that minus 220 in your parlays. And for distance-wise, I like the Hernandez and Barriault fight to go the distance at plus 120. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. Matt, tell everybody where we can find you at.
Yeah, everyone can go check me out at Moneyline Matt on Twitter. And Sports Memo right now, got 2 UFC picks. Probably going to upload another one, so you definitely want to get in on those. Probably going to package them up as well so that people have something to choose from. So, yes, but Moneyline Matt on Twitter. I give a lot of free plays on there as well. So feel free to check that out.
Kyle, where can we find you at?
WagerTalk.com, Twitter at Kyle Anthony UFC. This weekend, I have a max play, 5% best bet play, about 68% over the last 17 months. So I find some good spots, and I really like this one. Even money spot. Let's make it happen this weekend.
That's great, Kyle. And Matt, you can use the promo code FIGHT100 to take $100 off a year's worth of MMA plays. I am Andy Lang on Twitter at Bump Sports. All my plays are at WagerTalk.com. We got our 5-day quarantine special, 5 days worth of plays for $49. No promo code needed. No promo code needed. Just find it on the profile page. So, gentlemen, it'll be a small victory if these fights all stay the same based on what happened last week. So hopefully we can revisit all of these. Everyone in the chat, thanks so much for joining us. Episode 2 of Inside the Distance. Let's have a great fight night, and we will see everyone next episode of Inside the Distance.
How many handicapping groups can say they were around before Twitter, MySpace, AOL, Sunday morning cable infomercials, beepers, and 1-800 numbers? In the 65th year of operation, the Gold Sheet team is better than ever. Including the NFL preseason, Gold Sheet's LTS selections are 21-6 to start the 2022 football season, including an 11-1 mark this past weekend. If you're ready to play side by side with the country's longest running sports betting newsletter, act now to take $200 off the Gold Sheet's NFL and college football combo. No coupon is needed to redeem this offer. Just go to the Gold Sheet's homepage at WagerTalk or Sports Memo and lock in one of the most respected handicapping groups of all time for one of the lowest prices ever offered. Get every top-rated college football play between now and the national championship game at regular price, and we'll add in their full season of NFL picks through the Super Bowl for just $100 more.